It's kind of wild when you think about it. Pretty much every company out there is swimming, or maybe even drowning, in just a mountain of data. But here's the crazy part. With all that information, why is it still so hard to get real value out of it? Well, today we're going to dive into an idea called data mesh that tries to fix that exact problem and turn all that data chaos into some real clarity. Does this picture look a little too familiar? You've got data coming from everywhere. It all gets jammed through these central teams, and honestly, it just ends up creating more questions than answers. To make this feel a bit more real, let's talk about a fictional company we'll call Messflix. Like so many real businesses, Messflix is data-rich, but totally insight-poor. So Messflix is a streaming company, right? And they've just hit a complete wall, a data wall. I mean, they have everything: what people watch, which movies get produced, how much it all costs. But that pipeline, the one that's supposed to connect all that raw data to actual smart business decisions, it's broken. Does any of this ring a bell? At Messflix, they can't even build a decent recommendation engine. And those really cool data science projects? Yeah, they're stuck in limbo as pretty prototypes that never ever make it into the real world. Why? Well, because the data they need is just messy and inconsistent. And the teams who could use it, they don't trust it. So the bottom line is, even with all this data, the company just doesn't feel data-driven. Not at all. Okay, so what's really going on here? What's the real reason Messflix hit this data wall? And look, it's not because they don't have smart people or the latest tech. The problem is the process itself. It's the old way of doing things, this centralized approach that creates one massive, frustrating bottleneck right in the heart of the company. So let's break down this traditional workflow, because it almost always looks the same. First, you've got all these different teams, subscriptions, content, marketing, all generating data in their own little worlds. Then you have one central data team that has to somehow collect everything, dump it into a data lake, and then try to clean it up and make it useful. Only after all of that can an analyst or a data scientist finally get their hands on it. It's just slow, it's clunky, and it breaks all the time.
And this right here, this image just perfectly captures the human cost of that bottleneck. You've got the analyst on the right asking, hey, is this data even correct? Then the data engineer in the middle just throws their hands up. How am I supposed to know? Go ask the dev team. And the developer on the left, they're just thinking, look, I don't know about some dashboard. My app works perfectly fine. Everybody's frustrated, and nobody really owns the quality of the data from start to finish.
And that gets us to the absolute crucial point. It's this massive knowledge gap. Think about it. The team that builds the app has deep knowledge of their world, like how customer signups work. But the central data team, they've only got a shallow understanding of like dozens of these different worlds. So the people with the most context aren't responsible for the data's quality, and the people who are responsible just don't have the context. It's a recipe for failure. So everything we've talked about is basically just screaming for a completely new approach. To break this bottleneck, we have to totally rethink how we handle data ownership and how we build our systems. And this is exactly where the idea of a data mesh comes into play.
Right, so just to remind us, this is the before picture. It's that tangled mess of confusion, of handoffs, of miscommunication, all getting funneled through one single overwhelmed central team.
And now, look at this. This is the after picture, and it's just so much cleaner. In a data mesh, that dev team, the one that creates the customer sign-up data, they don't just throw it over a wall. No, they own it. They package it up into a clean, easy-to-use data product, and they serve it directly to the analyst who needs it. The central team's job completely changes. They're not gatekeepers anymore. They're enablers, providing a platform that makes it super easy for everyone to share.
Okay, so here's the formal definition. At its absolute core, data mesh is all about decentralization. It's about pushing the ownership and the responsibility for data out to the edges of the organization, out to the teams who know it best. And the goal is really simple. Get rid of the bottlenecks so you can finally unlock the real value hiding in your data.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Isn't this just organized chaos? Well, not exactly. This whole decentralized approach is actually built on 4 really clear principles that give it the structure it needs to work and to scale.
These 4 principles are really the pillars holding the whole thing up. First up, domain ownership. Super simple idea. The team that builds the app owns the data it creates. That's it. Second, data as a product. This means you stop treating data like messy exhaust and start treating it like a real product. It's got to be discoverable, reliable, and trustworthy. Third, federated governance. You still need rules for things like security, but they're automated and they're agreed upon by everyone, not just handed down from on high. And finally, the self-serve platform. This is all the tech that makes it dead simple for all the other teams to build, share, and use their data products.
And this brings us to what is probably the single most important point of this entire explainer. You can't just go out and buy a data mesh. This isn't about new software. It's about fundamentally rewiring how your organization works and how your people work together.
I mean, this quote just nails it. Data mesh is a socio-technical shift. The socio part, the people, the culture, the ownership, that's actually the harder part of the puzzle. It's also the most important part. The tech is just there to support this new way of working, not the other way around.
And you know, if this whole decentralization thing feels kind of radical, it's really not. We've seen this movie before, just in different theaters. The tech world went from giant monolithic apps to microservices to decentralize how we build software. We went from separate dev and ops teams to DevOps to decentralized operations. Data mesh is just the next logical step in that same evolution, applying those same powerful ideas to the world of data.
So, the question I want to leave you with is this. Take a hard look at how your organization handles data. Is your architecture creating frustrating bottlenecks that are killing innovation, just like it did at Messflix? Or is it actually set up to create breakthroughs?